outpourings today will fill our minds with renewed confidence and an optimistic view of the future. I would like to remain an eternal optimist, and I'm confident of enjoying during my lifetime itself the rising of the Indian economy to unforeseeable and historic glory. It's an honor to introduce N. Venkatraman, Senior Advocate, Supreme Court of India. A versatile lawyer arguing on all types of taxation, direct, indirect, and international, regulatory matters in telecom, gas, energy, electricity, et al. Besides the appearances in the Supreme Court, he has so far appeared in 23 high courts. The last 2 months witnessed severe recession in the aviation industry and the lockdown and suspension of all domestic flights that resulted in the stopping of frequent joins to every nook and corner of India by Sri N. Venkatraman. And that explains why he is able to be present without a fuss today in our midst. Variety is his forte, and he has argued in matters like entry tax, child sex abuse, many public interest litigations, including the Sabarimala case. Deeply religious, a staunch devotee of the Sri Sringeri Mutt, he has established a Veda Pathasala, built a temple, and he is a renowned lecturer in teachings of the Acharyas of the Sringeri Mutt. Professionally, he is proud to proclaim as his guru and ethical mentor the late Sri C. Natarajan, Senior Advocate of impeccable qualities. The manner in which he pays encomiums to his guru Sri C. Natarajan in lecture number 50 of his recent series on Vidya Danam is a true reflection of the guru and the Sishya. I now request Mr. Venkatraman to make his presentation in about 25 minutes time. It is bound to be power-packed while also being a PowerPoint one. Over to Mr. Venkatraman.
Thank you. Okay. Right. Yeah. Camera varla. Namaste Sharade Devi Kashmira Puravasini Twamaham Praptage Nityam Vidyadanancha Dehimi. Thank you, Mr. Sadgurudas, Mr. Nagappan, Mr. Subramaniam, Hindustan Chamber, Rajaji Center, and RR Sabha. It's a delight to be here to share what little we knew or trying to know about this 20 lakh crore package scheme initiated by the central government as a post-COVID recovery process. I'm duty bound to thank these 4 chartered accountants and acknowledge talking to them for days has enhanced our abilities to understand the issues from complex angles. I must thank to these 4 intelligent and industrious agriculturists who are all literates, well qualified and taken to agriculture either out of as a family profession or out of passion, were given valuable inputs as to what actually needs to be done if the amount that is sought to be invested in it can actually yield the required results. With these words, let me step in to say what this package seeks to unfold. Whatever we try to understand, the problem today in free economy and freedom of expression is anybody can express any view they want. And in whatever way they want. Chitra, can you unmute everybody else, please?
Yeah. Done. Yes, sir.
Thanks.
Yeah, all are muted, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, you can proceed, sir. Yeah.
Thank you. So we need to first if you want to play a cricket match, you have to play it only in a cricket field, the pitch, the temperature, the opposition, the crowd. There's so many factors influence a match. Similarly, before we understand this package, we need to peg ourselves in certain ground rules. Then we will be able to unfurl it and understand it. There are three aspects which we need to bear in mind before we get into it. India is a developing economy, has a large population, and of late, all over the world, there is an economic slowdown, and many countries have been growing only between 1 and 2%. And the prediction is many countries will go down by 4 to -5%, except China and India. Though they say it is optimistic, but it is not impossible. This is one factor which one should bear in mind. The two operational limitations. Our corporate borrowings are the highest in terms of debt equity ratio, which somebody can say, how can you now go and borrow? And there is a counter answer to say, we have a strong fundamentals, and that's why they are able to give money to our corporate sectors. And you'll be wondering in this 2 months, how many lakh crores of investments are being planned through Indian corporates is a magic. That's the kind of corporate and India we are. I'm not saying it in thousands, in lakhs of crores investments are being planned in this country for the last 2 months. So it goes both ways. Then the historical track record of government debt is also very high. Now comes the third factor. What is going to happen post-COVID? So if you have these 4 parameters in mind, then we can possibly discuss. This 20 lakh crores in a slide actually falls into these following compartments. And the essential voice that is being raised constantly in the last 2 weeks or 10 days is, look at this, they claim it to be 20 lakh crores, of which more than 8 lakh crores is going to be funded by RBI. So how can the central government factor it as it's not even 12 lakh crores, some peg it at 9 lakh crores and 10 lakh crores. We should not forget the fact that RBI is not a foreign bank, nor is it located outside the country. It's our bank, our regulator, governed by the Act of Parliament. And Supreme Court in its recent decision on cryptocurrency has brought out beautifully the nexus between RBI and the central government. How it gets created and how it can act much stronger than one who has created himself. And there are provisions in the RBI where central government, if out of necessity, if need be, can hand over powers to the RBI on certain matters of financial functions and proprietary. So to say that they are independent dispensation and therefore should not be factored looks clearly a disconnect and contrary to decisions laid down by the Supreme Court. So first objection I thought I should clear in your mind. So the 20 lakh crores should be taken as a cumulative number to see where money flows. Now, these are the areas which has been identified for self-reliance and also for Make in India. There are about 9 major sectors, of which every time agriculture is a priority and it tops. And see, the thrust appears to be deregulate. That's one thrust. Attract investment, better price realization, adequate choice to the farmers, and barrier-free interstate movements. These are the important key points arising out of this dispensation. But what is more important is, in fact, all these 4 people with whom we talked about it were all, as I said, literate agriculturists. They are suggesting the following. They are saying 2-3 things if combined, then this money which is sought to be plowed will yield good results. There is a lot of vagaries between the mismatch of overproduction and underproduction. Because now that we have technology, if this can be nuanced properly and in the demand supply can be regulated, it will be one of the major reliefs to agriculturists. Then if minimum support price, which is more in the paper because of lack of infrastructure, If that can see the light of the day, then the connecting dots would match. And tropical climate of India needs to be exploited. Aromatic agro project and herb because we are now trying to go global, even in agricultural produce. These are our strengths. And more importantly, this is a state subject, and therefore the connect with the state government is of paramount importance, where I thought I'll add some value. See, we have for the past 3 years, irrespective of different political parties ruling in the states and in the center, we have been successfully running the GST Council across overlooking the political irreconcilable differences. All of them have started to think trade is more paramount and trade in their state is more paramount. Therefore, if this experiment has worked in GST, so if we can think of a model, initially, whether it can be a constitutional model, we have to try it like an empowered committee for a while, and then designate it into a constitutional status. If there can be an independent constitutional body which can connect the dots and avoid the mismatches and employ technology and ultimately put little more money into the farmer's pocket, they say this can work possibly well this time. Now, before we go into Make in India, please have a look at this picture. I'm only suggesting one aspect out of this complex picture. China, this is of course 2018, so there will be a decline. Doesn't matter, it's relative all over the world. If China is doing 4 trillion, if you just see to the right, you will find India doing 412 billion. If the geopolitical dynamics and the kaleidoscope swings in favor of India, even if we draw 10 to 15% of the manufacturing facility, because most of them are identical, substitutes, complementary. So if this can happen, India can possibly become a 1 trillion economy in manufacturing. Therefore, this global scenario is posted only to say a huge opportunity can be thought of. So it's not impossible. We need to connect the labor laws. We need to make it attractive. All those things are there. But it's not impossible looking at the present geopolitical scenario. Now, in coal sector, the thrust is going to be revenue sharing, ease of doing, and an infrastructural investment of 50,000 crores. In mineral, 500 mining blocks would be offered as an open and a transparent auction process. And a thought has gone into for rationalization of stamp duty. In defense, banning of notified items and weapons, indigenization, automatic route of FDI is now going to be at 74%, and faster decision-making process. Civil aviation, world-class airports. And more importantly, one techno consultant has filed a report saying that we are now 5 in aviation. By 1935-38, we may move into 1. And by which time, of course, this was a pre-COVID preparation, we might, in the world may require about 40,000 aircrafts. India has the capability to become a super producer of good aircrafts. And if we set our mind and tune ourselves with this stream, this is one area where India can possibly grow very well. And the convergence between defense sector and civil MROs will be one more act to connect. Power. We would have seen so much about power. Privatization in the union territories is one. Then generation and transmission projects to be competitively be selected, and more importantly, timely payments to the GenCos. That's where the bottleneck arose, says all the statistics. In social infrastructure, government has promised to fill the gap of around 30%, starting from healthcare. It covers in numerous industries. And therefore, this is going to be one area. Now, the policy decision by RBI, the borrowing rates by the banks from the RBI has been reduced almost by 1%. And that benefit is going to be passed down to the customers. That's one. Then, when monies are kept with RBI by the banks, it was what we call the reverse repo. It was drawing an interest of 4.9, which RBI has brought it down to 4, forcing the banks not to stock money with them. And the third important factor is the lazy money, which is around 3 to 4% as a reserve, has been released. 1% has been released into the market for circulation, which is 1.37 lakh crores. These are the three major impetus. And now, therefore, you have more money. It was originally 2.8 lakhs. Now it's almost 4 lakhs plus, even as per the statement. And also through providing necessary papers. The whole idea is triple fold. More money to banks, give it cheap, and force them to lend. These are the concessions as of now thought for, which RBI has assured that it shall review it from time to time on the borrowing side. Now, this is the next question that is sought to be raised. There is a lot of writings and also voices all across saying that we are sitting on an asset of 470 billion foreign reserves. So why not we monetize it? That's one question. Or how is the government going to get all this money? Are they going to print? Are they going to sell the PSUs? How are they going to get this money? We should know. Just think for yourself. We have been seeing at least 60, 70 budgets, at least all of us 30, 40 budgets in our life. When has which government has said that this is the source of money in which and then prepares a budget? Why should, see, it's like 130 crore people participating to say we should know what we are going to, where the money is going to come from. So the strength of India today is its foreign exchange reserve, which is in the form of FDI, stocks, export earnings, and several other dispensations. But it will not be prudent, as a past practice, it will never be prudent to monetize it, because we should always keep our rupee strong as much as is possible. And when India is an extremely import-intensive country, any fluctuations, we should be able to stand up and take it. And therefore, this is not something which everyone encourages to do, and we should leave it to RBI to decide what it thinks fit, even though we are sitting on a huge asset. But what is important, more important to understand is, if there is any, this is one school of thought, if any attempt is made to monetize it, then there is always a counter lobby which can frustrate the attempt by devaluing rupee and nullify the whole effect overnight. Therefore, this is a very critical area. I think none of us can sit here and say this is what RBI should do or central government should do. And therefore, this question is better well answered, leaving the regulator to take a call what it should do. But there is a suggestion here. One of the vice chancellors of an educational university was suggesting that gold is still a very good option for India. If you stop buying gold, say for a couple of days, we can run 2 Mangalyaan to space. That's the kind of, India is one of the biggest importer of gold. And therefore, if a VDS scheme can be thought of gold, of bars at least, and if they surrender it for a 5-year locking period with against a bond at a very minimal interest, whether that can be one aspect which can possibly do well is one thought. Now, this is the calculation which we saw how money is going to be dispensed with. So there are 4 critical areas of managing the present situation. One is the liquidity infusement. Second, most important is there is going to be a sovereign guarantee to the extent of 3.5 lakh crores. Now you will see the connect between central government and RBI. If RBI is going to fund 8 lakh crores, government is ready to undertake and underwrite 3.5 lakh crores coverage, which is meant for SMEs and MSCs. And if they default, they have said it will be our sovereign responsibility, and we stand as a collateral for them and we will pay. Now, they have also redefined the definition of SMEs and MSEs. And this is the critical chart of the dispensation. The first two is completely collateralized as a sovereign debt. Of the rest of the things, of course, Discom and all this, but the first two is of prime importance. 3,20,000 crores government is collateralizing it. Now, on tax-related issues, see, as we said, some say it is not 20, it is 9. Someone can say it is not 20, it is actually 27 or 28 lakh crores. How? See, 3 dispensations have happened so far. Last July, there was an announcement for the corporate where the benefit on tax was to the extent of about 1.2 lakh crores. This March, on individuals, it was around 70,000 crores. The whole idea was money should be with us instead of in the consolidated fund so that consumption improves. That was the idea in which such a huge lump of money was given to us. But COVID ate away all that. Now, post-COVID, this year, our recoveries are going to be short at least by 3.5 lakh to 4, if not more. And government has not chosen to increase rates. It could have very well said, we are in bad times, all of you will pay 75% income tax. All GST will be 35%, because we have been paying indirect taxes to the extent of 33-34%, even 3 years back. So all of you should pay more. Whatever you can pinch, we'll pinch because we need money. So that is not happening. And the fourth important bucket is whatever has been budgeted as an expenditure in March 2020, there is no shrinkage on that. So all put together, 7.5, 8 lakh crores should be considered only as a stimulus in the given situation, is one view. They're coming to the reduced TDS, which is going to again end up in a circulation of 50,000 crores. It is important to say they are only suggesting one aspect as a request. In fact, when Mr. Ranganathan was speaking to a group of SMEs and MSEs, they were coming out with a thought process. See, nowhere in domestic taxation, there is a TDS scheme except in India. Cross-border, we have it. But in fact, in cross-border, the whole money is taken upfront. So there is a suggestion and request by the MSEs and SMEs. Okay, we will pay the 75% of what the TDS is. Can a bank give us a collateral loan, and it can even charge an interest of, say, a couple of percentage to us, so that we can recycle? This is money which the income earner has to pay at the end of the year or once in a quarter. So if you can give that against a loan, and many of them are saying this year at least we are going to end up in refund, we may not be able to pay more tax, the TDS itself should be sufficient. So if there's going to be resulting in some refund, whether the bank can grant it directly and bank in turn can take it up from the department. This is purely a thought process for the government to consider whether this will improve the working capital cycle far better as a support measure, because it is only recycling the money once in a while. Now, these are the questions that are often asked. In the last 10 days, our juniors sat and surfed both Jayalakshmi and Aryaman Gulati, and they found, which I told them, they picked up about 15 questions. So we said, for lack of time, we have shortlisted it to 5. These are the 5 basic questions which they try to keep asking. Why not after all, you're going to give 20 lakh crores, all of us are suffering out of it. So why not to credit 20 lakh crores into our account, which if you put it against 130 crores, Madurai Sridhar in his interview was saying it comes down to some 15,000 rupees per account. And if that is going to be the credit and 15,000 rupees suddenly into your account, and if everybody starts going into the market to use it for consumption, imagine what can happen to India. So it will be an imprudent decision in a situation of this to pump that much of money, and that's not how you raise consumption. Because very many economists are viewing, these schemes may help you to create demand, but will it help you to create consumption? Consumption will be slow. We'll have to bear that in mind, no doubt. But these reliefs about 7.5 lakh crores in not raising taxes or whatever has been given as payoff before the budget still remains, at least in a sense, where we can possibly navigate and operate. But the only request, again, a section of people are making to the government is, there are a section of people who are professionals but not employed. They are all professionals as individuals, where they have lost a huge money now because of non-performance of their professional work for the last 3-4 months. So they are looking at some support from the government or some leniency for at least a year for them to set right and stabilize. As they have included SMEs and MSCs, can individual professionals also join this line is one request which they are wanting the government to consider. Now, somebody is saying, no, this is nothing but a reading of a budget. No, it's not a budget. It's not a budget. Because this is an emergency financial situation where any government has to rise up and try to meet the exigencies. It is an exigency. Budget is something which you have to plan every year, whereas you don't plan this every year. Then whether it's going to be borrowings or printing or whatever it is, or a combination or a sale of PSUs, it is better we leave it to the regulator and to the government to take a call. And if we keep debating, this is what the issue and this is going to be the idea. If you are going to advise RBI and economists and the CEO of the country, I think that is stretching it too far. So we should leave that as that. Now the fourth question is, how can government underwrite 3.5 lakh crores as a sovereign guarantee? What is the option? What else is the option? See, if you don't give money, most of them will die. And how do you give money to your bank? And bank cannot give the money free. So between the two choices, not to give and keep quiet, or to take the initiative of giving and see how far they rise up, of the two, you have to opt for one. And that's exactly what they have started to operate. And during economic slowdown, liquidity infusion is not a sensible decision. What is the option? See, it is easy to comment. Unless you give this plan A is wrong, it can be only plan B, then you should better accept plan B. That's how we should at least regulate or modulate public discourse on these sensitive issues. Last 2 minutes. It's a request to the youngsters. COVID has taught an invaluable lesson for all of us. Those who have saved are surviving fairly well. And those who have lived lives through credit cards are all on the talks. So please be careful in future. 2, buy as much as goods possible from the Indian market. We need to have more money within India. And 3, most importantly, one can revive, stand up and progress in life only when you are more and more connected with technology. Avoid gatherings and respect our environment. Nature has shown what it can do to us. Just 1 gram of COVID has shut 162 countries. That's what one technologist gives a report, shares a report. And whatever little we have been sharing in these 3 months to our staffs, our servant mates, our drivers, our gatekeepers, see, it has encouraged them to consume. This is a valuable lesson which we have to learn. If we consume and if you can share the consumption, more number of people can consume, then it will stabilize consumption of the country itself. And the last point before I exit, we have an ancient tradition, we have culture, we are all oriented in a very, very different style. Globalization has several plus points, but it has taken away our human touch. And liberalization, liberal thoughts in the name of freedom of speech has destroyed our roots. So if the youth can contain these two, and if we can go back to the human touch, take it, India will bounce back into glory. Thank you so much once again for each one of you for patiently listening to this small talk. Thank you. So Nagappan, it's back to you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you. That was really very nice and very elaborate. And I would request G. Subramaniam to introduce the next speaker, sir.
Friends, actually, I was wanting to even make a few observations on Mr. Venkatraman's presentation. For two reasons, I am not doing it right now.